I'm going to show you how this has these have been redefined over the years. And also, the interesting thing, as we do our trainings around the state, and we help in informing people in a new way of thinking about these issues, what we're finding is that many times we ourselves use language that is in conflict with what we believe. Now go figure. It's really interesting how that happens. Maybe we'll find some examples of that. And third, in response, we have to take a lesson from our opponents and start training and organizing and building an army. But this is a mission of evangelization of culture, which really requires formation as well. And we need a new strategy, a new approach, change the terms of engagement, and go from defense, which we've been on for the last 40 years, and move to the offense. And moving to the offense means not being opposed to something, but being for something. And in fact, our mission is to promote the centrality and integrity of marriage for children and society. That's what we're for. First, we have to recognize that we have to stop being distracted by the activities or sins of others and focus on what's really in front of us, what is our priority. We have to recognize the fact that marriage and family is being redefined for people even in our own families. Nobody is immune from the influences of the culture. Every family is experiencing people, just about every family is experiencing people who are cohabitating, who are having children out of wedlock, who don't understand the real meaning and value of marriage and family. And how is this happening? 56% of high school seniors think it's okay, and this is the University of Michigan survey, think it's okay to have children and not be married. 30%, only 30% of 18 to 39 years old thinks it's very important to marry and if you're going to have children together. The cohabitation rate has increased from 1970. It's up 1,200% since 1970. At the same time, marriage rates are down 51%. Divorce is at about 45% per thousand, which is just almost to the marriage rate per year. It's shocking, but you know what we need to focus on? There's a human cost to all of this. There's a human cost. The National Fatherhood Initiative reports that children without fathers are 2 to 3 times more likely to be poor, to use drugs, to experience educational, health, emotional, and behavioral problems, to be victims of child abuse, to engage in criminal behavior than their peers with married mothers and fathers, whether they're biological or adoptive parents. This is a human cost that is affecting lots and lots of people and their development and the futures and their ability to lead the best lives that they possibly can. You know, when we think about it in these terms, really promoting the centrality of and integrity of marriage for children and society is not really a moral issue. I mean, there's a moral aspect of it, but really it's an imperative of social justice. And it's also an imperative of human rights, as more and more children are deprived of their right to know and be cared for by their mother and father. So really, rather than being in opposition, we need to be in solidarity. And I got my first lesson in human solidarity from Steve Courtwright. We need to be in solidarity with the children, in solidarity with the common interest that every child, without exception, has in the marriage of their mother and father. They can't advocate for their interest. They depend on adults to do that. How do we know what their interest is? How do we know what their desire is, the fulfillment of our desire? you need to just turn to your own experience. The desire that you have for connection with the man and woman from whom you came. That is a common human experience. Everybody has it, and if they tell you they don't, they're lying. It may be buried, but people who even have been deprived and never knew their mother and father have that desire. So we know what every child wants. We have to be in solidarity with them. Now let's take a look in the second point on what has been happening, how words and how terms have been redefined. And part of the formation process is breaking some old habits and developing new habits. It's a change of behavior. But the first thing you need to understand is where are some of the conflicts, or where are some of the problems? First of all, we talk about marriage in terms of procreation. Marriage is for procreation. Marriage is important to promote responsible procreation. I hate that term. People have a hard time connecting marriage with procreation because there's less and less people procreating in the context of marriage. They don't see a relationship. I was in the courtroom in the Prop 8 trial, and Judge Walker was really struggling to figure out, you say this is about procreation. I don't get it. I don't get it. We don't require somebody to procreate when they marry. The reason is that sex has really become a recreational activity as opposed to the reality of a procreative activity. When that changes, a whole lot of thinking changes. And by the way, kids are being taught this in the schools, in the sex education classes. This is what they're learning. Now, from the perspective of our homosexual brothers and sisters, they look at this and say, wait a minute. Heterosexual people are participating in non-procreative sex all the time. Even unnatural acts, some made popular by President Clinton. Why we don't get this? Why is it okay for you guys and it's not okay for us? What's the rational reason? What's the difference? What is the difference? The second thing, marriage has become more adult-centric and individual-centric rather than the reality of family-centric. Marriage is the foundation of the family? What do you mean? I don't understand that. There's a reason why it's become more individual and more adult-centric, and it's not just all about the advocacy in the gay rights movement. First of all, people are waiting until later to have children in their marriage. Secondly, they're having smaller families. Third, they're living longer. That all adds up to people are spending more of their married life without children. That's one of the influences on this. The second is diversity education. People don't look at that. It's really promoting and respecting alternative families. Children start coloring alternative families as early as in kindergarten, and there's about 6 or 7 different combinations, and guess what? Only one of them has a married mother and father. Well, it doesn't take very long for the child to understand there's no connection between marriage and children. There's no connection. Father Gerald Coleman, who used to be rector of St. Patrick's Seminary and now teaches a course in marriage at Santa Clara University, told me, he said, Bill, more than half of the kids are from Catholic high schools, and hardly anybody in the class connect marriage with children. I have a friend, the person in our movement, who teaches marriage preparation for his diocese, and he said, it's surprising how many couples preparing for marriage have never even discussed children.